My name is Donnie Horton. I pastor Harriet Assembly of God Church, and I'm a Section 2 East men's rep. Brother Terry called the other day and asked us to do a devotion upon Unshakable, and after he had said that, we began to think about things that shake us in this life. I know that success never shakes us. Success is something that every minister, every man looks for, but in the process of walking through this life, we have trials, we have tests, we have temptations, we have obstacles that we have to overcome, things that we have to go through. Being a grandparent, we lost a grandson at the age of 2 years old. He was an identical twin to his brother. Through that course, that didn't shake us in our faith toward God. A lot of people would ask questions as why, what was the problem, what caused it, what brought it about. We don't know. God has the overall view, the big picture and everything. But a fellow minister there at the funeral, they'd asked me to speak there at the funeral, and I didn't know exactly what I was going to say, and I didn't know if I would be able to straighten up during the time of it. But I knew that God's grace would see us through it. We'd be able to say what we needed to say, speak what we needed to speak. And the fellow minister, he said, you know, sometimes you just want to shake your fist at God and ask Him what He's doing. I never felt like shaking my fist at God. I never felt like anything like that would take place. My dependency upon God was too great to turn against Him. Things like this, friends, doesn't shake us. Our dependency increases upon God as we go through trials and tests and temptation. But the one thing I feel like that does shake us is failure. Failure in a man's life is an obstacle that he must learn to overcome. David, when he came back to the camp, the men, all the women and all the children were gone. His men spake of stoning him. David was listening to these words, encountering what he might thought to be a stoning. But at the same time, David encouraged himself in the Lord. David spoke to the men, they went after, they pursued, they overcame, recovered all. But there come a time when David was looking over the balcony, lust filled his heart. He called for a woman, Bathsheba. She came to him, she became pregnant. He tried to blame it upon her husband Uriah by getting him to go down to her house. Through the course of Uriah not going home with his wife, David sent him to the front lines to be killed. Trying to cover his sin was one thing that he couldn't do. But friends, through the course of this, when Nathan the prophet come to him and spoke to him about the one man's little ewe lamb, it shook David. And David became very shaken. But at the same time, the 51st Psalm speaks about what David did. He fell on his knees, he repented, he sought the Lord. The last verses of this, I was looking over it last night. I'm going to read the last few verses here of the 51st Psalm. It says, Thou desirest not sacrifice, he said, or else I would give it. He said, Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart of God thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion, build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of the righteous. I want today to encourage every man out there. Everybody's had failure in your life. Don't give up the fight. You're never defeated until you quit. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Lay hold upon eternal life. Paul spoke of this at his departure. Friends, keep the faith, be encouraged, and don't be shaken.